All right, here with Sam Darnold, new starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. He's kind of doing my life in the inverse. I started in Seattle, went to Minnesota. Now I'm on the West Coast in Vegas. You're SoCal, got Minnesota in there, now in Seattle. Already a flannel wearer, at least going off of your intro press conference, which is notable. But here on behalf of the Lowe's Foundation, how you doing today, Sam?
I'm good, man. It's the flannel was I thought it was a solid choice. I know I got a little, I don't even know if I got flack for it, but it was definitely a talking point. But I thought I'd represent kind of, Seattle, the grunge era a little bit, like, a little Nirvana, Pearl Jam kind of vibe to me. So I thought I'd, give it a shot. And hey, I got attention. They say
you did.
All publicity is good publicity. So, hey, I'll take it.
You worked it out. All you need to do is catch some fish at the market, and you'll just check all the boxes for the Seattle stereotypes, and you're good. Maybe visit the gum wall.
Of course, yeah.
Just don't
eat the gum, right? Like Papa Elf says, don't eat the gum on the street.
No, do not do that. Yeah. Absolutely do not. No, but I'm very excited to watch you and Kubiak's offense there in Seattle. But one thing I actually was curious about, as someone that wore 12 and 14 throughout their life, just because of happenstance, 14 is a family number. I liked Brad Johnson. You've worn 14 throughout most of your NFL career, or all of your NFL career, I believe. But you wore 18 in high school. I'm just curious, what were some of did you have any background with those numbers? Or was it just like, hey, 14 is my number now?
Yes, that last part. So 18, really, so in basketball, I was 15. And that's really the number that resonated with me. That was my grandfather's number that he wore in college playing basketball. And so that's kind of the number that I wanted to have. I wore that in hoops. And then I wanted 15 when I made it to varsity my sophomore year in high school. But another, a senior got, to pick that before me. And the only number that was available 1 through 19 was 18. And so I picked it and kind of, just kind of stuck. And that's, that was kind of the story there, and there's not much story, and that's kind of how I like it. But, and then 14 at USC, it was just same kind of deal. There was no real numbers available besides 14. And, that ended up kind of sticking a little bit. And so here we are now rocking 14.
Yeah, you make it work. I like that. I appreciate that. I like when someone has a unique number. Not everyone could be 7, 18 is kind of common a little bit. 12. I had kind of a similar story, moved up to varsity, way lower extent than you. But I was 12 and they gave me 12 or 19. And as you know, as a quarterback, you can't wear 19. So
you can. It's legal.
You can. Yeah. You can, but I'm not Johnny U. I can't go that, I can't really pull that off at all. Or maybe Brown's Flacco. But I also, after watching at USC, I was pretty high on you. And also that first start when you were with the New York Jets, you played against the Lions. Very fun Monday night game, I believe, finished 48-17. I got 2 questions on it. One good, one bad. Your first touchdown to Robbie Anderson, who's gone through some name changes, a player you actually had a lot of chemistry with, multiple stops. It was against cover 2. You rallied to it. Was that planned, or did you just rally to it and saw that it popped open, and then you're just like, I'm letting this go?
It was a double move. It was called.
It was okay.
I was kind of, I should have gotten to the check down. I think the newer me probably would have hit the check down. But young quarterback, I was like, I'm gonna wait for this thing to, develop a little bit, because the safety was kind of sitting low. And so I, line did a great job, gave me a ton of time, and I felt like I had the ability to just be able to lay it down the field, and didn't throw it necessarily as far as I should have or wanted to. But Robbie made a great play on the ball.
Yeah, no, it was good. I was curious about that because you give a little shoulder shimmy on it, and then he takes an inside stem. So was it like a corner and up, like a 7 up?
Yeah, 7 up.
Kind of
reference.
It was that's all I got.
It was outside, so it was a double move, just kind of like a stutter and go kind of thing. But
got it.
It was 7 years ago, so I don't really have
And I
Great.
watched it an hour
No.
ago because I was like, I
Yeah.
remember this, and I was like, and it was totally different than my memory. So, but I still had to ask it because I've been curious about that throw for a few years now.
Yeah, no, it was a fun moment, man. It's
It was.
obviously first touchdown in the NFL. You can't really, it's something that you remember forever.
Yeah, yeah. So the other side of this is your first play or your first one of your first throws was a interception on a throwback kind of play, like a designer. It looked like where you're like, I'm pinning that grenade, I'm throwing this. What was that your welcome to the NFL moment, or did you have another moment that you're like, yeah, that was my introduction here?
I'll never forget my rookie year. We were playing the Texans, and it was a screen to like the running back on the left side, and I'm like kind of waiting for the screen to develop, patting the ball, and I don't know how I didn't fumble, but I was like here, getting ready to throw it, and JJ Watt just like hit me so hard in the ribs. Like I don't know how I didn't let go of the football, but I ended up getting sacked on a screen to the running back by JJ Watt. I think that was kind of my all right.
Yeah,
Welcome to
I,
the NFL, Rook kind of moment.
I thought I created enough space, but he closed that space. I thought I drifted
Yeah,
enough, and he closed that on me a little bit.
yeah, exactly.
No, it's funny. I played with JJ. I've seen him run. I've seen him jump, and yeah, I'm not surprised that he closed that space pretty quick. I got to get into also maybe your another passion of yours. I don't know if it is a passion. You're a basketball player, football player. You're also a golfer. Josh Allen said that he would have a you as part of his ideal foursome. I don't know if you saw that clip or not. He
I don't
mentioned
think I
along with
have. Yeah.
yeah, Kyle Allen, Christian Kirk, and then he mentioned you, and then him, Josh Allen. What would your or who would be in your ideal foursome? And I'm sure you
Oh, I
automatically
mean,
have to include Josh.
well, it's those three.
Oh, okay, so it is a
Yeah.
regular group.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay,
I can't, stray away from, the group there.
smart, smart.
That's our squad, our off-season squad going golfing. So, yeah, that's the crew there.
How is your golf game, or what is the strengths of to your golf game?
Oh man, that is a ongoing discussion, ongoing process. It's not great right now. Our handicap is rising, but we're good. At
Yeah,
the end of the day, I love going out there and playing, and I think that's all that matters.
it is. Do you, and this is a personal question. Do you use lengthened clubs? Because we're about the same height, and I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I do. I don't
Okay.
know exactly the length, but yeah, I definitely like
This is
them a
just for
little.
me. Just this is just pure because I might have to adjust my clubs when we're about the same height. All right, we got a couple more questions. This is back to X's and O's though. You've been a Kubiak Shanahan offenses for a good chunk of your career. I did notice back when you were with Carolina that you really liked throwing choice routes. That choice routes in CMC was automatic. It seemed like. Are there any other concepts that now in these offenses, Shanahan Kubiak type offenses that it's kind of your go-to? You're like, no, I want these day one, day two staples that you're like, these are my money plays. I know everyone has their own kind of specifics, but any ones that are yours, you think?
Um, what first of all, I think throwing choice routes to CMC is that would be anyone's favorite route to
It's
throw.
automatic.
Automatic. And if he's not there, then DJ Moore is on the other side, probably wide open as well. But no, I think there's a ton of concepts. Obviously, there's a lot of familiarity with kind of the system. I was there in 23 with the Niners. And then it's, we run a ton of similar stuff that, I ran last year with O'Connell in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Um, I love throwing outbreakers, but the inbreakers, man, I feel like I've been able to get a good feel for some of those inbreakers, whether it's shorter inbreakers or
Yeah.
deeper, what we call kind of dagger throws,
Yep.
right over the middle. So those are kind of the throws that I have a good feel for. But again, I like it all, man. Whatever gets the receivers open, whatever route will get the receiver open in that certain defense that we're playing. That's what I like to throw.
Yeah, the inbreakers, I'm glad you brought them up because yeah, you rip some high lows. You love the high lows, wrap concepts and stuff. I also noticed that backside digs, it helps with having number 18 in Minnesota
Sure.
running those digs,
Yeah.
but there's one against I believe against the Bears at home. You hit them near the goal line. Then you had another one against the Falcons on third down.
Mhm.
Uh, do when you throw those, do you have a specific throwing point? Do you throw to a hash plus two, or are you just throwing to space where you think the generalized space is?
Yeah, it's space.
Okay.
Because there's so many different ways that we can get into it, with different splits, and so the landmarks kind of change, but
Yeah.
the voids in the defenses don't, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So like, if there's a hook defender there and he's kind of backpedaling, like I might have to wait a second, but I am throwing to the window. And so based on that space, like as you play more football, it just I have a good feel for, and I think any quarterback that's played more than 2 or 3 years in the NFL can tell you this, but like you're throwing to a void in the zone,
Yep.
and you can kind of periph the receiver coming into that window a little bit, and whether you need to throw it with touch or just rifle one in there, you know, feel like most quarterbacks in the NFL have a really good understanding of kind of filling that void and just throwing it there and trusting the receiver to get there.
Yeah, I just noticed that you're so consistent on them, so it's kind of real fun to watch. I was just curious if that was just, reading that space because there's
Yeah.
lines of thinking because the old school coaches be like, "You're throwing this +2, this -2," and it's like, if you're not on
And
it, they
there
get pissed at you.
there is a degree to that as well.
Yeah,
I think there is a landmark that you kind of have in mind in throwing it.
absolutely.
So there's definitely a little bit of that as well.
Okay, and then I have one last little touchdown throw I wanna ask you, also to number 18, Justin Jefferson, the 97-yarder, deep play action concept, 2nd down, you guys are backed up. What alerted you to that? Was that something that you guys had anticipated that the safety, that Brown there, the safety might be flat-footed, that might be a great opportunity to that? Or was that something pre-game plan, I should say, from the week? Was it on the game plan on the field before that series? Or is that you just alert and alert?
No, it was something that we had talked about.
Okay,
If you watch the play back too, it's funny. I think I really should have thrown it to my guy Jalen Naylor,
on the
who
over.
was
Yeah,
on the over, who was actually under Jets. But I did feel Brown, Jair, who I played with in San Francisco. I kind of
yeah,
felt like he was a little flat footed as well. And one thing I learned just watching tape in that offseason was if you give 18 a chance, there's a greater than 50% chance he's probably going to come down with the football. So I just decided to give him a chance. And again, like that was a play we had talked about. Like we're probably going to throw that when we call this play if we get this
yeah.
certain coverage. We got the coverage. We called the play. It was almost like, all right, dude, like I need to make the defense pay on this one
Yeah.
somehow. And yeah, I just gave 18 a shot and he took care of the rest, man.
It was fun. No, I really enjoyed watching you, especially all those deep passing concepts you guys ran in Minnesota because you're willing to unpin the grenade, as I like to put it,
Yeah.
and just let them launch. I know KOC dialed them all up. Really just kind of want to wrap up too. So God, I had bad wording here. I can't ask this. So you mentioned watching film though. Now you're in Seattle. Seahawks took some offensive players in the draft. Were you watching any college film leading up to the draft process? Have you peaked any of those draft prospects that they took? Either at Zabel or Arroyo, even Damian Martinez or Torrey Horton. Any of these
Yeah.
players have you checked out at all?
Yeah. I've just following along with the draft. I was able to kind of watch a little bit of highlights of the guys and, you know, obviously, Mr. Schneider, John, does a good job, and he's done a good job in the draft, and obviously trusted him, but had to go take a peek for myself, and sure enough, man, the tape doesn't lie. These guys are really good players. I feel like they have an opportunity to be able to help us in a big way, and so I'm just looking forward to working with them. I'm so eager to just work with these guys and just continue, not only them, but my teammates that I've been working with here for the last, few weeks, just continuing to get to know these guys and get on the same page. So when the time comes that we have to, be on the same page during the season, it'll help us out even more.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out with the guys that are returning and the new faces as well as with you. I think that offense could be a lot of fun to watch. Really enjoyed Kubiak what he did last year with the Saints, so it should be a really fun offense. So, any other little Seattle area items that you've enjoyed so far? Have you hung in the Sodo area? Gone to a Mariners game?
I haven't. To be honest, I'm moving a ton of stuff into our new house that we just bought. So
Okay,
that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now, man. It's
gotcha.
getting all this furniture in the house, and just moving right now. I'm trying to enjoy myself a little bit on the weekends, like go venture into the city maybe a little bit. But to be honest, man, I haven't really gotten a ton of time to do that. But when the furniture gets settled and, we got Wi-Fi, we get, trades workers coming in and then fixing some stuff that we need fixed in the house. Like, I'm just excited to be done with all of that so that I can actually start living a normal life again.
I appreciate you taking the time to join me as you're doing all that. As someone has done podcasts off moving boxes, I can totally relate in this very room actually that I'm recording right now. So I can totally relate. Sam, thank you again. Best of luck this season, all future seasons. Really excited to watch. And thank you
Appreciate
again
it,
for
man.
your message.
Appreciate it, man.